Here's something that's going to break everything you thought you knew about getting things done. The most productive people you've ever admired, they're not working harder than you. They're not waking up at 4 a.m. They're not filling every second with output. They're doing something that looks, from the outside, a lot like nothing. And that's exactly the point. We've been sold a lie. A very expensive, very exhausting lie. Busyness became a status symbol. Being tired became proof of ambition. Calendars packed to midnight became something to brag about. We stopped asking, "Are you happy?" and started asking, "How many projects are you juggling?" Busyness and productivity are not the same thing, not even close. A hamster running on a wheel is the busiest creature in the room. It's also going absolutely nowhere. Think about the last time you had a genuine breakthrough, a moment where something clicked. Where were you? Probably not at your desk, probably in the shower, on a walk, lying in bed doing nothing in particular. That wasn't an accident. Your brain didn't solve the problem despite the rest. It solved it because of the rest. Neuroscientists discovered something unexpected when they started scanning brains at rest. They assumed that when a person stopped doing a task, brain activity would drop. They were wrong. When you stop focusing, a completely different network switches on. Your brain doesn't power down, it shifts gears. It starts doing something that focused work physically cannot do. It starts connecting things, ideas from last Tuesday, and something you experienced 3 years ago. It runs simulations, it rehearses conversations, it builds the mental architecture for your next insight. This is not metaphor, this is measurable brain activity. The moment you sit down and force yourself to focus, you shut this network off. You trade your brain's most powerful processing mode for the illusion of productivity. Let's talk about the math here because it's uncomfortable. Studies on elite performers, musicians, athletes, chess grandmasters find the same pattern. The very best don't practice more than everyone else. They practice differently, and then they stop. Top-tier violinists practiced an average of 4 hours per day. Then they rested. The ones who tried to push beyond that threshold didn't improve faster. They plateaued. They got injured. They burned out. Your output is not a straight line going up forever. It's a curve. And past a certain point, more effort produces less result. Every hour you add beyond your cognitive limit isn't neutral, it's negative. You're not just failing to improve, you're actively getting worse. The rest isn't separate from the work, the rest is part of the work. The recovery period is when your brain encodes what you learned. Without it, the effort that came before it is significantly wasted. You're not being lazy when you stop, you're completing the process. We have built an entire civilization around eliminating boredom. Phones in every pocket, notifications every few minutes, content for every idle moment. We have become genuinely terrified of having nothing to look at. And in doing so, we accidentally dismantled one of our most important cognitive tools. Boredom, it turns out, is a signal, a very specific signal. Your brain telling you the current environment isn't enough for your capabilities. What does your brain do when it gets bored? It goes looking for something more interesting. It starts to imagine. It starts to create. It asks questions that nobody asked it to ask. Every random idea in the middle of doing nothing was your default mode network doing its job. The idea wasn't random. It was the product of a brain given enough silence to think. When you fill every gap with content, you're not preventing boredom. You're preventing insight. The most creative and prolific thinkers in history didn't have smartphones. They had long walks. They had blank notebooks. They had hours with nothing on the agenda. Not because they were undisciplined, because they understood the mind needs unstructured time. Here's a question nobody asks when they optimize their schedule. What is the cost of never switching off? We calculate productivity and output, tasks completed, words written, meetings attended. We almost never calculate what we lose on the other side. The decisions made badly because the brain was too exhausted to think clearly. The opportunities missed because there was no mental space to notice them. The creative connections that never happened because every quiet moment was filled with noise. Cognitive fatigue is real and it's cumulative. Every decision you make depletes a finite resource. By evening, most people are making their worst choices of the day. Not because they're bad at decision-making, because their decision-making capacity was spent hours ago, and they kept spending anyway. This is why the most important work you could do often doesn't get done. It requires mental clarity you no longer have. The lazy person who does 4 focused hours produces more meaningful output than the busy person who grinds for 12 hours on diminishing returns. Not sometimes, consistently, and they do it while feeling better. sleeping better, having more to give. This is not a permission slip to avoid hard things. This is not a justification for procrastination dressed up in neuroscience language. Actual laziness is avoiding work because it's uncomfortable. It's choosing the easy path when the hard one would move you forward. It's scrolling when you know you should be starting. Strategic laziness is completely different. It's the intentional disciplined practice of rest and recovery as part of a high-performance system. The difference is not in how much you do. It's in whether the rest is chosen or defaulted to. Whether it's designed or accidental, strategic laziness requires you to work with full intensity when you work. Truly focused, truly present, no half attention, no second screens. And then to stop completely when you stop. Not slow down. Stop. Most people half work all day and half rest all evening, never fully in either mode, and wondering why they feel exhausted and unproductive. First, identify your peak window. Your brain has natural cycles of higher and lower alertness throughout the day. For most people, the sharpest cognitive window is in the first few hours after waking. That window is sacred. Your most demanding work goes there and nowhere else. Second, time box ruthlessly. Set a specific end time. Not a goal to hit, a time to stop. The boundary creates urgency, which creates focus. Third, protect the idle time. After your focused block, resist the urge to fill the space. Don't open social media. Don't put on a podcast. Don't jump to your inbox. Give your brain 15 to 30 minutes of genuine, unstructured time. Walk without earphones. Sit without a screen. Let your mind wander completely. That wandering is not wasted time. That wandering is when your default mode network processes. Fourth, make sleep non-negotiable. Memory consolidation, emotional regulation, glymphatic cleaning all happen in sleep. Cutting sleep to get more hours is one of the most expensive trades you can make. You lose far more in cognitive quality than you gain in time. Fifth, let boredom happen deliberately. Build it into your week. Time with no agenda, no content, no goal. Most people report that their best ideas emerge in these windows. Not because they tried, because they stopped trying. Here's the real challenge with all of this. It requires changing how you see yourself, not just how you schedule your time. We tie our sense of worth to our output, to how much we're doing, how visible our effort is. Resting feels like falling behind. Doing nothing feels like failure. There's a guilt that arrives the moment you're not producing something. That guilt is not a moral compass. It's a cultural program. It's running on outdated logic. The person who learns to rest strategically is not doing less. They're doing the harder thing. They're going against a culture that rewards performance of busyness over actual results. Changing your behavior is relatively easy once you understand the mechanics. Changing your identity around what it means to work well, that's the deeper project. That's the one that makes the behavior stick. You are not lazy for stopping. You are not behind for resting. You are not wasting time when your mind is wandering. You are doing exactly what your brain was designed to do. And if you let it, it will give you more than any extra hour of grinding ever could. The most productive version of you isn't the one working harder. It's the one who learned when to stop. And honestly, that version sounds a lot more like someone you'd actually want to be.